Hey everybody, welcome back to the Print 3D channel. Today is September 2nd, and that means day 245 of the 3DP 365 project. And on today's episode, we printed out this very cool Ninji from Super Mario Bros. 2, and this Ninji, and this one too, so stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back, and thank you for joining me here for day 245 of the 3DP 365 project. On today's episode, we printed out a bunch of these really cool Ninjis from Super Mario Bros. 2. And this design is actually what you might see in Super Mario Run. But the creature, this little bad guy, actually first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 2. And he's quite the cool little ninja. And I don't think they wanted to name it a ninja at first because, you know, it's more violent. So they named it the Ninji by changing the A to an I. But either way, it's a really cool, obscure character from Super Mario Bros. 2. And I think the print turned out awesome. This is a very, very cool model. And I printed quite a few of them because there's two of them in the set. You get the jumping Ninji, which is this little one, and we printed this out in MatterHackers Pro PLA Blond. And that print turned out pretty good, and I used multiple processes in Simplify 3D, and I'll show you how I did that in a couple minutes here. We'll go over to Simplify 3D and I'll show you how I set this print up. But I used multiple processes to do different speeds because it's such a small little model. And there is a bit of an overhang here right where his belly is, and where the little boots connect with the little jumping thing, there's a little gap there too. Plus there's a couple little areas here that I just wanted to make sure printed okay, so I used different processes. But that was only on the little model here. That's the jumping Ninji. The regular standing Ninji, I actually printed out this guy first at 200% using MatterHackers Pro PLA in the color of jet gray, just to see what it looked like, because it's a really cool model and I wanted to print a big one. And when I saw it on the print bed at this size, I was like, well, I know I'm going to print it big, so let's go ahead and print a big one first and let that run overnight. And that's this one. And this print turned out awesome. I am very happy with the print itself. There are no real problems with it. There is a little bit of mushiness going on here between the legs here in the little crotch area, but that's a heck of an overhang and a heck of a printing area to actually achieve without really slowing down the extruder and really dialing it in. And I really do need to dial in my temperature setting because all my print settings I think are really, really good. It's just my temperature I think is a little too high. I've been running 209 for MatterHackers Pro Series PLA, and basically all my prints is the single temperature I run through all the print throughout. But I think I can go a lot lower than that, and I'm probably going to do some testing. But for now, I'm really happy with this size, the 200%. So after that print was done, and we pulled it off the print bed this morning, I went ahead and put it back on the print bed at 100% just to see what it looked like. And I printed this one out in MatterHackers Pro PLA color of red, what I call gCreate red. And this print turned out really, really good too. There is that same little issue between the legs, it's a little bit mushy. But that's quite the little overhang right there, and I didn't use any support material. But the rest of the print looks really, really good. There's no problems with this one whatsoever besides that little area. And it's a very clean print too. And having my seam now pretty much nailed down by putting it in the back of the print, that's really helping out a lot on all the models that I print. And then finally, today, I printed out the jumping Ninji, and I used multiple processes for that. So let's head over to Simplify 3D and I'll show you how I set this up to print with multiple processes using different infills and speeds. Okay, so here we are in Simplify 3D, and as you can see underneath my processes, I have 5 processes set up. And if I just hit Prepare to Print and hit Select All and hit OK and run the processes through the model, we'll be able to see, because I'm running it on the coloring, I select Current Process. And then you can see all the different processes that I have set up, and they're all color coded really nicely. I do like this feature. And if we go to Feature Type and we just dial through here, you can see all the different settings where I have no infill going. We have some different infill amounts here at the bottom than the top. And the basic settings that I really wanted to achieve by doing this, if I exit out of here, was do different speeds for the different parts of the model. And the reason for doing that is it's really, really small. And if you saw in here, if I hit Prepare to Print one more time and hit Select All and process the model, I'll show you. But there are some areas in here that I just thought that needed a little bit of help. You can see right there, definitely want to run that a little bit slower than usual. And especially with the connections here with these feet areas, so you don't have any problems with the bed, or not bed adhesion, but layer adhesion in between layers here, so you might want to keep that a little bit slow too. And then the detail around the buttons, that was another area I wanted to make sure was nice, and the detail was actually taken care of by running it a little bit slower. And then through the top here we could speed it up because there wasn't really a whole lot I had to worry about with that section. And then at the top here for his little horns, or the rest of his little body parts here, I used a much slower process to go through this area, and I turned off the infill because I knew it didn't really need that. So if I exit out of here and we take all these processes out, and we'll delete these, and I'll just do a quick save as so I don't destroy my factory file that I did. And I'll just put a little 2 at the end here, and I'll just rename it. And if we add a new process in, and we make sure that there are no stop and starts, because it'll pick up whatever the last process is, and we'll just run through here and check our process settings. We'll make sure everything is good to go here. We do want to use a skirt and a brim on that first layer. And we'll put our speed up to what our average speed will be for printing, which is about 40 millimeters per second. So after that, what we're going to do is we're going to exit out of here, and then what we'll do is we'll do multiple processes. So let's go ahead and hit OK here. And then we'll set this up with a multiple process, and I'll show you how I did that. So basically just make sure you have the model selected, and you go under the variable settings wizard, and I've shown this in other videos before. And then what I actually did is I just dialed down to certain areas, like there's the stop of the bottom piece, so I'll add a location. And then for the boots, before we get to the body part, let's make sure we turn and see. We don't want to get too close because we want to make sure we address that body part area that we saw in the preview of the other one, of the finished model. So we'll add a location there, and then we'll bring this up past the little belly area, and then we'll actually, you know what, we can go, in mine I actually went up to just past the buttons, so I wanted to make sure those buttons were addressed with a lower speed, and we'll add another location, and then we'll dial it all the way up to the top so we make sure we take care of those horns a little bit separately, or those other parts of his little body, and we'll add another location, and then we just hit split process. And then basically what I did is I just went through each of these and I adjusted my speed and my infill amounts. And I didn't do anything else to any changes in any of the other settings. I just left them as is. Except for the additions, I did turn off the skirt and the brim. And the other settings within Simplify 3D I did not change. So I just went through each of these processes and slowed it down what I thought would be the appropriate speed for printing this model at such a small scale. And of course you saw the results in the finished Simplify 3D file, and you could tell by the different colors, and I can do that here too. I can hit prepare to print and just hit select all, hit OK, and once it processes we'll switch this over to the color of the current process, and there you can see the 5 different processes that we set up that match what we have over in the process settings, and of course their colors all match here under the process names. So that's basically how you set up multiple processes in Simplify 3D using the variable settings wizard. So let's head back over to the workbench and let's talk about our prints. So as you can see in Simplify 3D, I made it a little bit easier to print. But the only caveat to doing that is I actually made a little bit of a mistake in some of the speed areas after the print was done. And I actually saw it while I was printing, but I didn't want to cancel it because I wanted to show you guys one of the little caveats of increasing the speed between 2 different layers using multiple processes. What happened was I was running it, I believe, at 40 millimeters per second or 35, and I dropped it down to 20, or it was the reverse, maybe it was 20 millimeters and I boosted it up to 35 or 40 millimeters per second. But either way, that little speed change actually left a little bit of a, I don't want to call it under extrusion, I want to call it medium extrusion, because it's not a mistake, it's more of just where the transition is between the 2 speeds. Because with all the different multipliers in Simplify 3D, when you change the speed so drastically, it's going to have to put down a little bit more plastic. And between those transitions, in that transition area, there's going to be a transitional amount of plastic being put down. And in this case, it actually left a little bit of a line. But it's only present on the little arm areas, so I think it had a lot to do with just retraction and all the other settings that go on. But either way, using multiple processes actually improved the printing, because I was really worried that this wasn't going to print very good because of the really steep overhang here of the belly and of course between the legs. And it is a little bit mushy in there, But the print itself, it turned out awesome, and I really love this model. I'm going to be passing on probably the bigger one over to my wife for finishing. And it's going to be a basic finish because he's really black with red buttons and white around the eyes. But it'll be fun to finish because this print is actually really, really good. You can barely see the layer lines. We did a 0.2 millimeter layer height for the big guy, and we did 0.16 millimeter layer height for both of the smaller ones. And our prints turned out awesome. My gCreate gMax 1.5 XT Plus did a stellar job on these prints, and I'll definitely put the link down in the description. This model is available on my mini factory, and you guys will really have fun printing this at 100% because it's only about a 90-minute print, depending on your print speeds. And if you decide to do the jumping one, make sure you slow down your printer because this one's got a lot of little trouble areas with the print itself, and you'll definitely want to take your time with it. But either way, this is a very, very cool model, and I'm super happy with the print, and I can't wait to see what my wife does with the finishing. Well, that about wraps it up for day 245 of the 3DP 365 project. If you're looking for ways to support the channel, check out the affiliate links down in the description. If you use either the MatterHackers, Amazon, or GearBest affiliate link, it'll kick a little bit back to the channel, and it won't cost you a penny, and I really appreciate it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Comment, like, and share those videos, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.